Kansas City will reimpose some restrictions this Friday as COVID cases rise. I'm Laura Moritz.
And I'm Kelly Eckerman. They include closing bars and restaurants early and limiting gatherings to 10 people or less. And that does apply to Thanksgiving. KMBC 9's Michael Mahoney has the details.
Kelly, the early restaurant and bar closing is a result of the research that's showing that is where the virus is spreading the fastest here in Kansas City. And the mayor appealing today to all Kansas Citians not to gather in large groups for the coming holiday. The toughest challenge may be getting folks to drop or scale back beloved holiday traditions. The Kansas City COVID-19 rate is up more than 50% in those tested in the last 2 weeks.
No one wants to be the Grinch, neither I, Dr. Archer, Dr. Carney, or anyone. But we are asking folks to take these important steps so that we can get to a more positive situation later on.
Those steps include closing the bars and restaurants at 10. All customers have to be sitting most of the time, and more honesty from the bars and the restaurants.
I get more messages than anyone would think from folks that work at a restaurant and say we had an outbreak, but they didn't report it to your health department.
Other restrictions include wearing a mask at all times indoors. That includes police and firefighters, gyms or fitness centers. And a reimposition of the social gathering restrictions. That applies to youth sports crowds and churches. The 10-person limit is for all events, public or private. You can apply for an exemption, but no promises.
We really need everybody to get on board because otherwise we can end up with much worse restrictions.
Now, it is very likely that Kansas City, Missouri will again have the most restrictive COVID-19 orders in the entire metro. Mayor Lucas hopes that other cities in the metro join him, but that is not certain right now. The mayor says there are two ways out of this. Number one, you can wait for a vaccine, or number two, comply with this and hope things get better. Michael Mahoney, KMBC 9 News.
Despite the rise in cases, the Chiefs will continue allowing fans in the stadium. The current limit is 22% capacity. Owner Clark Hunt says there have been no discussions about changing that. There are 3 games remaining in the regular season.
Local businesses are reacting to this news. Rochester Brewing and Roasting Company has been in downtown Kansas City for a year now. It's been operating at 50% capacity for months. But its biggest marketing tool is an event space. With the new restrictions, upcoming events are now canceled.
Our initial reaction is we have to figure this out again. We have to look at our business model and see what works for us and see what we can do to stay successful, stay here, and to keep our employees safe and the safety of our customers.
Philip is one of 3 owners of the shop. He says they're planning a meeting tonight to determine a path forward.
There are also new guidelines in Johnson County, Kansas. They are limiting public gatherings and requiring restaurants and bars to close earlier, but the rules are less restrictive than in neighboring counties. KMBC 9's Bianca Beltran is live in Overland Park with a reaction to the public order.
And Lara, some businesses are still trying to work out how this would apply to them, especially when it comes to the limit on public gatherings, which in Johnson County is 50 people or 50% capacity, whichever is less. And there are several exemptions. And so the health order allows businesses or organizations that plan to exceed that limit to provide the health department with a safety plan in order to move forward with their gathering. And so there's flexibility in the guidelines. And the commissioners also decided on Friday to allow bars and restaurants to stay open for dine-in until midnight, which is 2 hours later than recommended by the health officer. Some say these restrictions don't go far enough. Others say they should not go further.
Generally, what we're hearing from businesses is that they're okay with some reasonable restrictions. What we don't want to see is a complete shutdown because our economy can't handle that. And that absolutely would be a death knell for some of our businesses.
The order that was passed was a compromise based on the political reality of what we could get approved by the existing board. In my opinion, it's better to have something than nothing at all.
And Commissioner Hanslick said that she was disappointed that the order that was agreed upon did not include all of the recommendations from health officials, but she said that it was, no matter how strict these rules are, it comes down to how people comply with them and what happens when people do not. Reporting in Overland Park, I'm Bianca Beltran, KMBC 9 News.
The Shawnee Mission School District is changing its learning model. Middle and high school students will go remote beginning on November 30th. It will last through January 22nd. The district is keeping older students home to shift resources to elementary schools, which will remain in person. On Friday, Blue Valley schools announced similar changes.
A second COVID-19 candidate vaccine is offering more good news about prospects to slow the spread of the virus. Moderna says its shots are 94% effective according to preliminary data. The company says it is an important milestone.
In scientific or clinical research, optimism is something that you actively keep in check because you have to do the rigorous experiments. But certainly I can say that we're encouraged by this interim readout.
It was last week Moderna's competitor Pfizer announced that its own vaccine provided similar protection. The FDA will still need to analyze the data before deciding whether to allow the vaccines outside of a research study. If the vaccines are approved, there could be limited supplies before the end of the year. Now, people right here in Kansas City took part in that trial. Investigative reporter Matt Fleener is live in South Kansas City now with how the director of the Kansas City trial is interpreting the news today.
Yeah, Kelly, part of the Moderna trial actually happened here at the Center for Pharmaceutical Research in South Kansas City, and the director said it is important work.
These are the most important trials we've ever done.
The most important trials of our lives. Kansas City's own Center for Pharmaceutical Research is home to trials for 80 people in phase 2 of the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine.
I won't quite say it's a surprise, but to be above 90%, you could see the excitement in Fauci's face when he heard about it, and in some of the other physicians that have commented on it.
While Dr. John Irvin can't speak directly about the results, generally he's hopeful about the high rate of effectiveness in both the Moderna vaccine and the Pfizer vaccine announced last week. The Center for Pharmaceutical Research is also conducting Inovio's trial.
I believe in science and I believe in vaccines.
Heather took part in that Inovio trial, saying it was an easy decision.
Once I did that research and read up on it, it was an easy decision. I really went into the Inovio study knowing that I would be safe.
As for the news of the vaccine's effectiveness already announced and the promise they hold,
I think that we couldn't hope for better numbers as far as its effectiveness from these vaccines.
Now the center's actually holding another trial. They're looking for more volunteers, about 1,000 volunteers for a single dose trial for the company Janssen, which is a Johnson & Johnson company. The work getting underway right now. Matt Fleener, KMBC 9 News.
If you would like to take part in any COVID-19 vaccine trials, Matt has shared a link on his KMBC Facebook page.
Coronavirus cases and hospitalizations are both surging. 125 patients are being treated at the University of Kansas Health System. 31 are in the ICU. 11 people are on ventilators. That number grew quite a bit just over the weekend. Doctors say the Midwest is one of the worst places in the country right now when it comes to the spread of the virus.
All of the things that we were worried that could be possible in March, April, and May are actually happening right now. And that should be very scary for all of us.
Some local hospitals are now pushing surgeries back to try and make room for more patients. This is a look at hospitals in Kansas City and its 9 surrounding counties. On October 15th, 30% of ICU beds were available. 1 month later, it was 17%. The real percentage may be even lower. And even if a bed is available for a patient, there may not be enough staff to help them.
Kansas City police are now asking people who call 911 to tell the dispatcher if they have COVID-19 or COVID symptoms. It will allow the first responders to come prepared. Kansas City Police Chief Rick Smith says 131 officers have been diagnosed with COVID since March. The NCAA plans to hold March Madness in one location to mitigate the risks of COVID-19. It's in talks with Indianapolis to be the host city. Early round games had been scheduled at 13 sites across the country, but the NCAA says moving those games to one location would allow a safer, more controlled environment.
Chiefs lineman Laurent Duvernay Tardif says he's honored to be recognized by the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's not for his role as a player, it's for fighting COVID-19. LDT graduated from medical school in 2018. After winning the Super Bowl, he went to work at a long-term care facility outside Montreal. Tardif's scrubs and lab coat are now in the Hall of Fame. He says he accepts the honor on behalf of the frontline workers who have dedicated their lives to protecting their communities. You can stay up to date with the latest news surrounding the coronavirus in Kansas and Missouri with KMBC. We will have the latest on developments on air, online, and on the KMBC 9 app.